Hello everyone, my name is Beverly and today we will talk about social reconstructionism. Here are the key points for this topic. First, the philosophy of social reconstructionism. We will talk about its founder as well as his beliefs and views. Number two, social reconstructionism and education. So we will look at an overview, the goal of reconstructionism in education, Reconstructionalism in curriculum development, the role of the teachers in Reconstructionist education, classroom in Reconstructionism, Reconstructionalism in classroom setting, as well as critics of Reconstructionism. The philosophy of social Reconstructionism. So, who is the founder of social Reconstructionism? He is Theodor Bernhard Brameld. He was a leading educational philosopher of the 20th century, an American educator, and an educational philosopher. Brameld was best known as the founder of social reconstructionism. He founded social reconstructionism as a response to the horrors of World War II. He believed that education had the responsibility to mold human beings into a cohesive and compassionate society. Social Reconstructionism emerged in the first half of the 20th century and is viewed as a reaction to the conservative societal conditions of that time. It was believed that, particularly in educational setting, there was a lack of connection between what students understood about the world through what they were taught and how the world actually works. Ignorant understandings about these connections, social reconstructionists assert that people become open to influence, manipulations, and ultimately oppression. In schools, for example, it is believed that what students are taught has not and is not preparing them to function in a rapidly changing and diverse world. Each student's education is not believed to be reflective of the conditions and problems inherent in the society in which they are a part. And thus, students exit the educational system unequipped to deal with the problems inherent in the real world and unable to prompt or manifest social change. Traditional educational systems produce self-fulfilling prophecies. Students are not taught how to, nor are encouraged to, think critically and holistically, but instead simply take all of the information presented to them at face value and ultimately assume a place in society that is deemed appropriate by the very social system that educate them. As a result of the violence of World War II, Brameld felt that as a society they had two distinct choices: either evolve and work to create a more socially just world, or submit to the potential societal and global destruction as a consequence of oppression and war. In response to the existing crisis of the time period, he proposed not to submit to societal and global destruction. He believed Reconstructionism in schools was the solution to the problem. Now we will talk about his beliefs. His belief is hugely influenced by philosophers and educational reformists like Horace Mann, John Dewey, and George Counts, who all believe that schools and educational systems should improve our way of life and create an aware and active citizenry. Brameld explicitly believed that schools should become the powerful force for social and political change and advocated for the racial redesign of an educational systems so that social change and student empowerment stood at the forefront of educational theory and practice. Brameld emphasizes addressing the social questions and a quest to create a better society and worldwide democracy. Society is in need of constant reconstruction or change. Such social change involves a reconstruction of education in reconstructing the society. His main focus was to create a school system with democracy where controversial topics play a huge role. Students are expected to use their mind and ask questions when this philosophy is in use. He wanted students to realize that values are not unchanging. They must be tested continuously by evidence. Now, on to his views. Brameld developed his cultural interpretation of four philosophies of education: essentialism, perennialism, progressivism, and reconstructionism. He viewed essentialism as an educational philosophy concerned mainly with the conservation of culture. He viewed perennialism as centering on classical thought of ancient Greece and medieval Europe. He viewed progressivism as the philosophy of liberal, experimental education. He viewed his social reconstructionism as a radical philosophy of education responding to the contemporary crisis. In his writings throughout the 1950s, Brameld maintained that reconstructionists, like progressivists, opposed any theory that viewed values as absolute or unchanging. Values must be treated by evidence and grounded in social consensus. In his book, Education as Power, education has two major roles: to transmit culture, to modify culture. To transmit means to transfer knowledge from teacher to student. To modify means students share thoughts, opinions, and ideas with the knowledge they are given and try to come up with solutions and or modifications. Our second main key point is social reconstructionism and education. Now here is an overview. Brameld thought that creating a new social order through education could provide society with the basic needs that it needed. The teacher's job would be to convince their students of the Reconstructionism. Everything, including the child, school, and the education received, would be affected by the social and cultural forces. The portrait of a social reconstructionist teacher is one that provides the students with methods for dealing with the crises that confront the world, such as war, depression, natural disasters, inflations, or technological advances. If the teachers are social reconstructionists, they are the ones who would have the students learn about the problems in society and show them what they may or can do to fix them. They will show them that they can make a difference in the world. Brameld was trying to perfect the education in America. By doing so, he established goals for society. Specifically, he proposed a curriculum structure which included the following. Number 1, a nursery school for ages 2 to 5, which emphasized guidance and personal development. Number 2, a lower elementary for ages 6 to 11, which emphasized the social development and related personal qualities. Number 3, an upper elementary for ages 12 and 16, which emphasized activities and learning. Number 4, a secondary school for ages 17 to 21, which would be equal to present-day high school and 2 years of college. Many of his proposals, such as a longer school day, a year-round school calendar, and an open facilities to facilitate adult education, recreation, and counseling are widely accepted as means of improving the educational system of today. Goal of Reconstructionism and education. It is to eliminate any form of oppression within the educational system. Reconstructionism and education originated from social justice activism, which make our society a better place for marginalized people like women and minorities. The educational aims of Reconstructionism is that people act as change agents. They do not think that schools is separated from society, and educators should be more involved in the social cause. Reconstructionalism in curriculum development. Reconstructionist curriculum highlights social reform as the aim of education. It seeks a curriculum that emphasizes culturalism, equality, and futurism. It critically examines the cultural heritage of the society as well as the entire civilization. It is not afraid to examine controversial issues. It focuses on student experience and taking social action on real problems such as violence, hunger, international terrorism, inflation, and inequality. Role of teachers in Reconstructionist education. The teacher is a social activist. The teacher informs about the problem and suggests what one can do. Teachers are facilitators. Teachers give authentic and holistic approach to learning. Reconstructionalism in classroom setting. It contains a teacher who involves the students in discussions of moral dilemmas to understand the implications of one's actions. It provides students with learning requisite for altering social, economic, and political realities. It fosters social action aimed at reconstructing society. It encourages social, industrial, and political changes. It involves students in creating a more equitable society. So here is the conclusion. Reconstructionist philosophy has been an antidote to the easy virtues of materialism, traditional cultural values, and social stability. Its theory is not widely accepted, but it can stimulate and provoke critical thinking. It has provided visions for a better world and suggested ways of obtaining them. Social values, humane justice, human community, world peace, economic justice, equality of opportunity, freedom, and democracy are the significant goals for Reconstructionism. And here are my references.